Well, here we go, guys. Fani Willis. I'm going to be straightforward, guys. This case is over with. It is not going to happen, I believe. Folks, Fani Willis just probably got the most devastating news when it actually comes to Trump's appeal. Remember, the Georgia Court of Appeals said, yeah, we'll actually pick up your appeal and actually hear your argument that Fani Willis should be removed from this case. And we all know that Judge Scott McAfee was a complete coward by not actually disqualifying Fani Willis, even though he should have. Nathan Wade is gone, but Fani Willis is still there, man. She's still there. Boy, I saw this, man. Actually, I'm surprised I didn't see this yesterday because I probably would have shot this video yesterday. But guys, this case is pretty much officially not happening. Now, Fani Willis wanted this trial to start this summer, like in August. But this appeal that was actually granted to Trump puts this case in jeopardy, man. I mean, when I say, folks, this is a wrap, this is a wrap. Now, the idea was to actually start the trial this summer, get Trump convicted, and it's all falling apart. The corrupt Fani Willis, man, she did it to herself, man. She did it to herself. I think eventually she's going to be booted from this case, man. This case is going to go away. But even if she's not booted, man, we're looking at a very, very long time frame before this case even gets to trial. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, Fani Willis may end up being a senior citizen by the time this actually does get the trial, but I don't think it's going to get the trial, guys. So let's get into this news, guys. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, become a channel member. Remember, live stream every single Friday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you're watching on Rumble, click the join button to get access to the same thing. So here we go. Check this out. Trump files notice of appeal to disqualify D.A. Willis from Georgia case. The earliest the court could hear this appeal would be August of this year, and the latest would be spring of 2025. Donald Trump would already be in the White House, guys. Now, when they're talking about the earliest August, apparently the appeals court has a slate of things they actually need to go through on other cases. This ain't happening, guys, this year. They probably won't hear this appeal maybe until next year. That's just the appeal. Now, if they actually rule against Trump, Trump can still appeal to the Georgia Supreme Court. And then you're looking at another delay. And even when they actually do hear at the Georgia Court of Appeals, you still got to wait on their decision. You still got to wait. But let's go ahead and listen to this Fox News clip right here. Let's roll it.
Fani Willis is back in the news. New development in her disqualification case. A Georgia appeals court is agreeing to review the ruling that allowed the Fulton County District Attorney to stay on former President Trump's election interference case. And Trump's team is accusing Willis of having a conflict of interest over her romantic relationship with was it romantic? I don't know. He never said he loved her. We could get into it, but we won't. I'll start to sound like Stormy. The special prosecutor she assigned to prosecute Trump was someone that she ended up being involved with. Or maybe one predicated the other. We don't know. Jonathan Siri is live in Atlanta with more. Jonathan.
Hi there, Harris. That order that is under appeal allowed Fani Willis to stay on the case on condition her former boyfriend Nathan Wade stepped down. But the defense argues that's not enough.
He excused himself from the case, but our argument is that basically this does not right the wrong. There should be disqualification. This case is selective prosecution. It's persecution at its best. And now we get to be heard on that.
District Attorney Willis had hoped to bring the former president and his associates to trial in August, but the court's decision to hear the appeal is all but certain to push opening arguments well past the November presidential election and leaves in question whether Willis will be the one delivering those opening arguments. Legal analysts say this is a big win for the defense because it keeps the focus on Willis and further delays the prosecution because the first of two terms in which the busy appeals court could take up the issue does not begin until August. Georgia State University law professor Anthony Michael Kreis says the prosecution will be lucky if this case goes to trial in spring of 2025. Harris?
Wow, that's an interesting nugget of information. Jonathan, thank you very much. Fani Willis, why didn't the judge just pull them both off?
Should have. I mean, you're asking a question that I think most of America was feeling even before the judge issued the ruling. It's basic common sense as you see the fact pattern. When somebody is running to be the district attorney and they're running under pledges to take people down, like we saw with Alvin Bragg, with Tish James, obviously it's a very political election interference prosecution that's going on down in Georgia. There are a lot of Americans who might not be supporters of President Trump. They're independent-minded Americans who see that this is a political prosecution. Now you add the dynamic of the counsel being a lover, and the decisions get made as far as allocation of resources, how to spend tax dollars. You get a request from the counsel to plus up a team, more money for that person who is that prosecutor you appointed, and you're signing off yes to all of this stuff. To answer your question bluntly, I think a lot of Americans were sure hoping that that judge was going to do the right thing here.
Yeah, but he was just way, way, way too much of a coward. He's up for re-election, and everybody knows that. He took the coward's way out, but he did enough damage to Fani Willis to where someone else can actually remove her.
As opposed to trying to play it both ways.
Irrespective of what they were doing, in their private lives. And again, he's not her boyfriend. He was married. No one wants to talk about that, I guess.
Yeah.
But, put all of that aside for the justice system to have integrity. You don't want people that are manipulating things like that, whether it's Fani Willis and I have questions about the judge yesterday, Judge Merchan. He says after the fact, some of those details didn't need to be said about Stormy Daniels. I mean, the only thing we were missing was the movie she was in last. I mean, it was nasty. And he waited until then to say that.
Yes, and I think what we have been seeing recently reflected, for example, in that is sort of an abdication of duty under the guise of, I don't have the power for that. We've seen it in our president. We've seen it now in Judge Merchan, who certainly did have the power to stop it, to sustain defense's ongoing objection to that testimony as being irrelevant and prejudicial, and to say, I'm going to cut in. We're in a sidebar right now, and this is going to end. So what we're seeing is weak leadership in these roles that make a difference and have an impact. You can't cut the baby. You can't have it both ways. This is not the last we are seeing of Fani Willis, nor that circus that she has made of the Georgia justice system. And I note that she has staunchly declared publicly she will not comply with the subpoena or the Georgia Senate investigation's request for her to come to them to explain whether or not taxpayer funds were used in this charade. She has likened it to, as she says, I'm sorry that people get a curse word for angry at people being treated equally. The lieutenant governor of Georgia came out and said, I'm sorry, this is what it looks like when you treat people equally, which is that, yes, you will comply with the subpoena.
Yeah, consequences, Tammy.
I think that what people are realizing is that Georgia, Fani Willis, underestimated Trump, underestimated the American people, overestimated herself. But the larger issue here is when it is a political prosecution and everyone is on board, even subconsciously or silently, you can't rock the boat. Because then if you're an elected official, if you want to be invited to the parties, if you want to continue in your job in some fashion, that you would be the one to blow up the ship. It's like, what are you doing? So that is one of the core problems with a political prosecution is that either people are silent, don't want to say anything to disrupt it, and when they really should, they don't. And the entire framework, Harris, as you noted, begins to collapse.
It's like the jury. It only takes one. So
Yeah.
Apparently in lawfare, it only takes one to mess up. And then
Despite not being disqualified from this case, what the judge found was really bad for both of them. And I just want to remind you of what the judge wrote. He said there's an odor of mendacity.
Yep.
There's a tremendous lapse of judgment. The unprofessional manner of the DA's testimony, he referred to that, a significant appearance of impropriety that infects the current structure of the prosecution team. So he found that despite there being an appearance of a conflict of interest, that did not demand disqualification. The American public looks at this and just says, something is afoul here. This should not be, she should not be on the case. We always knew this interlocutory appeal was coming. It came, and it's not just this. Remember, the Senate investigation to which Emily refers, there are 12,000 contacts between Nathan Wade and Fani Willis. 10,000 of them are text messages.
12,000.
If the Senate gets those, more information comes out. Bye-bye. Not going to see this in 2025. Maybe won't see it ever.
It turns out that a lot of the salaciousness that they had hoped to bring against Donald Trump actually involves the people who are, who are prosecuting,
Great
testifying.
point.
I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Great
Okay.
point.
Yeah. So you guys see that right there, man. This thing is over with. It is over with. Fani Willis is done. And boy, this is amazing, man. All these cases against President Trump, they're all falling apart. The classified documents case is done. Trump is probably going to beat the Stormy Daniels hush money case, maybe. I mean, they're providing no evidence whatsoever that Trump broke the law. And Fani Willis, yeah, she is done. This case is over with, man. I don't think you're ever going to see this case go to trial. Fani Willis, bye-bye. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and White Network fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And we'll catch you next time.